Okay, one more quick one. I'm gonna try to make this quick, even though I really would like to just really go into it. But here's the thing. When in Daniel chapter 5, there was a great feast, and it was a great feast among the lords, and I mean, they had drinking and wine, and now I'm telling you, they were going to party. This is not like your average party where you go and you just kind of chill out. This was a party. It was like Studio 54 party, It was going to be sex everywhere, drinking, and all of that stuff. But they were drinking out of the cups and gold and things like that, silver cups, bronze, iron, all this stuff. All this different fine ware, because they had many gods of silver, gold, wine, silver, gold, wine. They had all of these were gods to them, and so they were worshiping their gods with these cups and drinking out of these cups and things like that. So the king, I think it was Belshazzar. I can't remember the name. Forgive me if I get it wrong. I'll just try to post the text. Because I also don't read fast, so I'm going to just post the text. But at some point, he got full of the wine, and he was just tripping, and all of a sudden he had the idea of to go get into the storehouses of Israel that was conquered at the time. And so God and Israel is not always on the same page, okay? So God let the Israelites get conquered, okay? And so they're all of their gold and fine cups that they drank wine and chalices and stuff was in the storehouse. Now, the king before them had kept the cups there and left them untouched. For many years, those cups and those fine jewelries that were dedicated to the God of Israel were left in the storehouse and not touched. It was just something they just didn't bother with. And so that king, which was Nebuchadnezzar, he actually had a servant, Daniel. Daniel, which was Israel, he was captured during the time that they were captured. He was one of the very, very wise and filled with the Spirit of God. So he actually interpreted dreams and stuff like that. And because these dreams would trouble the king. And so he was also put in a high place on the king's council or in their government, and he was given jurisdiction over that. Well, something happened. He was no longer in when it came to his son, Nebuchadnezzar's son, Belshazzar's son, that he was no longer in this in their government as far as advising them and things like that, which brings up an interesting question, is like, why don't they have people that understand God, that is loves God, is on God's side, that could bring this type of wisdom to the people, to those people at the time? Well, anyway, so they decided to go and get the cups, and instead of learning from his father, because this king Belshazzar, the son, his father had some hard times, and his father Nebuchadnezzar wound up losing his kingdom because he got so full of pride. He was hardened with pride, and he thought that the things that God gave him and blessed him with actually he had done himself. So he just felt like he didn't need God. God didn't, he did it all himself. He just got really wise. He just, started to believe in his own press. And so eventually what happened was God just, kind of brought low. God is a judge. And if that's what, if you look at Elohim, God, that's what it means, judge. Just like we got judges, like we got a president, we have two equal houses, and we all know what gridlock they can get in unless you have a judge, So the thing about it was, you would think that Belshazzar would have learned something from his father, who got humbled, and basically with this pride that hardens our heart and just think that we try to exalt ourselves above God. which is a problem. Whenever you got pride, pride is the biggest cause of marriages breaking up. Somebody's pride got hurt, and they're too proud to actually go to each other and reconcile, say, forgive me, maybe I was wrong, or step down, humble each other, humble themselves, and listen to each other and work things out. Pride is a big problem when you think you all that and you go into war with a nation and you think that's you too big to be beat, and you be like, they'll kick your butt, a small nation. We've seen that happen many a times. America should know a little bit of something about when your pride gets too big. But somehow they have forgotten, and this king has forgotten that what happened to his father when he got real proud. Okay, but you would think that we would learn from our ancestors, and that we shouldn't be so quick to toss what they learned or the mistakes they made. If it didn't work with them, and if it didn't work on God with them, it wouldn't work on God with us. We would figure that out. You would think we wouldn't be so quick to toss out the old way, or as they say, traditional. Because if it didn't work then, it ain't gonna work now. You ain't got to take 1,000 drinks of alcohol and be an alcoholic and destitute to know that that's not the way to go. Okay, I had to learn myself. Sometimes you could listen to other people. I like to be an individual and a rebel, but it's sometimes there's something good to when sometimes when they say everybody else is doing it. Sometimes. Scratch that I'll leave for another time. But anyway, he didn't learn from his father's mistake. He didn't learn from the old way. And anyway, he went and got the silver and the gold. Now, and then he started to praise their gods with their gods of silver and gold, with the silver and gold of the holy, righteous God. That's when it became a problem. Okay, as long as they took their chalices dedicated to their God, their unholy God, God didn't have a problem with it. The God, holy God, didn't have a problem with it. Even Jesus said, "Give Caesar what's due to Caesar." God ain't got no problem with a money or coin or anything like that. They always ask trick questions, and they ask a question about money. Jesus didn't have a problem with money. They asked, I don't know what the question was. They asked him, should a man pay taxes or something like that? And Jesus picked up a coin and said, "Whose face on this?" on this. So give what's due to Caesar, Caesar's, and give God what's due to God, God's. So it wasn't a problem when they took their unholy stuff and their unholy worship chalices and worship their unholy God with it. It only became a problem when they took what was God's, his holy, traditional stuff that has been there for years. Those chalices of gold and fine jewelry, those sacred items. It wasn't a problem until they took those and decided they were going to worship their unholy God and dedicate these things to sin. Let me flip that around a little bit for you. God didn't have a problem with civil marriages and stuff like that, if I could be so bold to say so. As long as it wasn't holy or nothing in it, ain't no God in it or nothing like that, and it's just about property and stuff like that, items and gold and jewelry and stuff like that, you don't have a problem with that. If that's what you want to do, if you want to take that and dedicate that. It's when you take something that is holy, that belongs to God, and then try to dedicate that to something unholy. Just then, when they did that, and when they had that bright ideal to do that, and to dedicate, to change, to abandon the old way, to, instead of leaving what those things, the idols that belong to God, instead of leaving them there, they decided that they were going to dedicate to God. That's when a hand came out of nowhere and started writing on the wall. And that's the writing on the wall. And matter of fact, it was so bad they didn't even have a man in their government that could actually read it. They had to go and get Daniel. Their astrologers and meteorologists and all that stuff, they couldn't even decipher what the hand said. And it was their judgment was already written on the wall, and they didn't even know it. So all I can say, before you think about, taking what's God and giving it, to the devil, God ain't worried about the devil. He'll take what's his back. The devil is already defeated. And the handwritten is on the wall. It's just a matter of time before you can read it. It's just a matter of time. It's already on the wall. And actually, one of the things that it did say is, your kingdom is numbered. It is finished. So, you know what? God is a God of second chances and mercy and blessing. So, let's think about this, people. God bless you all. Love you all.